In the dim, echoing hallway of Lincoln High School, where lockers slammed like thunder and whispers cut like knives, a group of bullies cornered 16-year-old Aaliyah Thompson. She was just trying to get to her next class, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her dark curls tied back in a simple ponytail. But today, like so many days before, they decided she was their target. "Hey, freak," sneered Jake, the ringleader, his face twisted in mock amusement as his friends laughed. Without warning, he lunged forward, wrapping his arm around her neck in a chokehold, pulling her backward as she gasped for air. The world blurred, her vision spotting with black dots, her heart pounding in terror. But deep inside Aaliyah, something ignited. This wasn't just another day of torment. This was the moment her hidden strength would roar to life. Aaliyah had always been the quiet one, the girl who blended into the shadows of her predominantly white school in a small Midwestern town. Born to a single mother who worked double shifts as a nurse, Aaliyah grew up in a cramped apartment where the walls seemed to close in during the long, lonely evenings. Her father had left when she was 5, promising to come back, but never doing so, leaving a void that echoed in her chest like an empty room. School was supposed to be her escape, a place to dream of becoming a doctor like her mom, but instead, it became a battlefield. From the first grade, the taunts started, kids mocking her skin color, calling her names that made her stomach twist. "Go back to where you came from," they'd say, even though she was born right there in town. By middle school, it escalated to physical pushes, stolen lunches, and cruel notes stuffed in her locker. Aaliyah learned to swallow her tears, to walk with her head down, but each insult chipped away at her spirit, leaving her feeling small and invisible. What no one knew, not her classmates, not even her closest friend Mia, was that Aaliyah had a secret world. 2 years ago, after a particularly brutal day where a bully had shoved her into a puddle during recess, her mother, exhausted but fierce, enrolled her in a local MMA gym run by Coach Ramirez. "You're stronger than they know, baby," her mom had said, wiping away Aaliyah's tears. "But you gotta learn to fight for yourself." The gym was a rundown warehouse on the edge of town, filled with the smell of sweat and determination. Coach Ramirez, a former pro fighter with scars mapping his face like a roadmap of battles won and lost, saw something in Aaliyah from day one. "You've got fire in your eyes, kid," he told her. "But fire without control burns everything down." She started with basics, jabs, hooks, footwork, her small frame aching after every session. But as the months passed, she transformed. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu became her sanctuary, teaching her to escape holds, to turn an attacker's strength against them. Muay Thai sharpened her strikes, making her legs like whips, and wrestling grounded her, literally, showing her how to pin down fear itself. Yet, the challenges piled up like storm clouds. At home, money was tight. Her mom's overtime meant Aaliyah often cooked dinner alone, worrying about bills stacked on the kitchen table. One night, after a grueling training session, Aaliyah came home to find her mom collapsed on the couch, sobbing over an eviction notice. "I can't do this anymore," her mom whispered. Aaliyah held her, vowing silently to make things better, but the weight pressed on her young shoulders. At school, the bullying intensified. Jake and his crew, 3 boys who ruled the halls with their football jerseys and entitled smirks, targeted her relentlessly. They spread rumors that she was ghetto trash, photoshopped her face onto degrading memes, and even once poured milk over her head in the cafeteria while everyone laughed. Mia, her only friend, a shy Asian girl who shared her love for books, tried to stand up for her, but it only made things worse. "Why don't you fight back?" Mia asked one day, frustration in her voice. Aaliyah bit her lip. "Because if I do, I'll lose control," she thought, remembering Coach's warnings about using her skills only when necessary. The emotional toll was crushing. Nights blurred into tear-soaked pillows, where Aaliyah questioned her worth. "Why me?" she'd whisper into the darkness. Flashbacks of her father's abandonment haunted her, his last words, "You're better off without me," echoing like a curse. She felt isolated, a black girl in a sea of indifference, where teachers dismissed her complaints as kids being kids. But the gym was her lifeline. Coach Ramirez became a father figure, pushing her through drills that left her bruised but unbreakable. "Pain is temporary," he'd say, "but quitting lasts forever." One evening, after a sparring match where she submitted a much larger opponent, coach pulled her aside. "You're ready for more than this ring, Aaliyah. But remember, the real fight is out there, in life." His words planted a seed of confidence, but doubt lingered. Could she really stand up without becoming the monster they accused her of being? As sophomore year dragged on, the challenges reached a boiling point. Jake's group ambushed her after gym class, cornering her in the locker room. "Think you're tough?" One of them jeered, grabbing her arm. Aaliyah twisted free instinctively, her training kicking in, but she held back, fleeing instead. The incident shook her. She skipped training that week, curling up in bed with self-doubt. Her mom noticed, sitting on the edge of her bed one night. "Baby, I see you hurting, but hiding won't fix it." They talked for hours about racism, resilience, and the strength in their bloodline. Aaliyah's grandmother had marched in civil rights protests, facing dogs and hoses with unyielding grace. "We're fighters, Aaliyah, not just with fists, but with hearts." Inspired, Aaliyah returned to the gym, channeling her pain into precision. She entered her first amateur MMA tournament, a local event in a nearby city. The crowd was sparse, but the adrenaline was electric. In the cage, facing a girl twice her size, Aaliyah dodged, weaved, and struck, a flying knee that ended the match in the first round. The win was euphoric, a taste of victory that mended some fractures in her soul. But back at school, the shadows loomed. The turning point came on a crisp autumn afternoon, the leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. Aaliyah was walking home alone when Jake and his friends blocked her path near the school fence. "Time to teach you a lesson," Jake growled, his arms snaking around her neck again, choking her as his buddies held her arms. Panic surged, but so did her training. Time slowed. She remembered Coach's voice, escaped the hold first. With a sharp drop of her hips, she broke free from the choke, spinning to face them. Jake lunged, but Aaliyah sidestepped, delivering a swift leg kick that buckled his knee. One friend swung a punch. She ducked, countering with a jab to his solar plexus that left him wheezing. The third hesitated, but she swept his legs, sending him to the ground. It was over in seconds. No blood, no broken bones, just three boys stunned and humbled. "Don't ever touch me again," Aaliyah said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. She walked away, heart racing, but head high. Word spread like wildfire. By morning, the school buzzed. Jake and his crew avoided her gaze, slinking away in shame. The principal called her in, but with no witnesses favoring the bullies, it was dismissed as self-defense. Mia hugged her tightly. "You did it." But the victory was bittersweet. Aaliyah grappled with guilt. Had she gone too far? That night, she confessed to Coach. "You protected yourself," he said gently. "That's not violence. That's justice." Her mom, hearing the story, beamed with pride. "My girl's a warrior." Slowly, ripples of change spread. Other kids approached Aaliyah, sharing their own bullying stories. She started a self-defense club at school, teaching basic moves to empower the vulnerable. Jake, surprisingly, apologized weeks later, admitting his own home was a war zone with an abusive dad. "I was wrong," he muttered. It wasn't instant forgiveness, but it was a start, a bridge built from broken pieces. Through it all, Aaliyah grew. She faced more challenges, a rematch tournament where she lost, teaching her humility, her mom's health scare, a mild heart episode from stress, reminding her of family bonds, and ongoing microaggressions that tested her patience. But each hurdle forged her stronger. She earned a scholarship for MMA training, dreaming now of going pro while pursuing medicine. Her father's absence still stung, but she realized her strength came from within, not from him. In the end, Aaliyah stood tall, not just as a fighter, but as a beacon. She learned that true power isn't in punches, but in rising above hate with grace and grit. To anyone facing bullies, remember, your story isn't defined by the pain they inflict, but by the strength you unleash. You're not alone. Fight back with heart, and the world will bend to your will.